So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Hopefully you can now see my presentation. We have some fancy new slides delivered by our new marketing team member, Gabby. So hopefully you enjoy our slick new look today. As always in today's town hall, we are going to start off with some product updates and then move on to some Q&A from the audience. We are recording, we are live streaming to YouTube. So if you get disconnected at any point, you can go to YouTube and follow along there. As I said, we are going to have some Q&A time at the end. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A functionality at the bottom. As we get to the end of the session, you can also use the reaction button to basically go in there and then use raise hand, and they'll be able to invite you on stage to ask your question. And so without further ado, I'm going to introduce Anmol to the stage to give some updates on AI. Anmol, take it away.
Hello. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Anmol. I'm a senior product manager that's been leading AI initiatives as Hospitable. I'm sure you must have seen me in our Facebook group. I pop up there from time to time just to run polls or sometimes reply to comments as well. And we have a lot of features that we need to present today to you guys, and we're quite excited about our AI features as well. Starting off, so all of our AI features, they have been upgraded today to the latest version that was launched by OpenAI yesterday. So as soon as the team determined that these were fit to launch, we upgraded all of our features. And some of the benefits that you will get with these new upgrades is the AI will now do a better job with communicating like humans. So it's going to, again, make sure that it's not being super professional. It's talking to your guests in a friendly tone. And again, it's just going to make sure that it's resulting in a conversation with your guests rather than instructions for the most part. The next thing that we'll focus on is AI is now going to do a better job at logical reasoning, given the context. So for example, if you see the screenshot on the screen, the guest just told the host that they would like to book Sunday, and the AI was able to understand that the guest is talking about extending their reservation and not necessarily changing their dates. So that's some of the things that AI will be able to do from now onwards, given that it has context from your property details or the conversation itself. More importantly, during the last town hall, Derek, he mentioned that AI wasn't really doing a good job at detecting his greetings or his style of signature. We worked on that, and now moving forward, AI will do a better job in the inbox to just greet your guests as how you do it, as well as essentially learn from your signature style as well. It's going to learn based on the automated messages that are in the conversation. So if, let's say, you use a greeting or a signature that's not a part of your conversation, it's not going to introduce anything new. It's going to keep continuing using what you've already used as part of the conversation itself. So those are the new 3 upgrades that's already live. And yeah, that's going to keep happening moving forward as well. Again, AI is going to improve moving forward, and as it improves, we are going to improve it as well. Moving on, an exciting new feature that we want to introduce today in the town hall is AI reviews. And as you guys know, as some of you may know, I ran a poll maybe a couple of weeks back on our Facebook group where an overwhelming majority of people requested that we add something like this. So we did. Moving forward, you will be able to see your reviews that are scheduled to publish for your guests within the inbox. So the idea is you will have better visibility on the review that's going to go to your guests. But from the inbox, if you click on the edit button, you will see a screen that looks like this. Here, you can tell Hospitable how you would like to rate this guest. So for example, if the guest was terrible or bad, you can click any of those spells and we will do a good job with AI creating those reviews for you. So the idea is you click on bad, the AI is going to write a review that's based on your conversation you've had with the guest, and it's going to try to rate them on cleanliness, respect of house rules, as well as communication as well. And the idea is moving forward, you would also be able to leave private feedback for your guests as well. That's a new feature that was never at Hospitable, but moving forward, you can do that too. So just to sum up, if you already use automated review rules, as you guys know, that's an existing feature that's part of the guest experience. Your review rule templates are still going to be sending your reviews without any input. So you don't need to change anything. When you need personalization, that's when the AI comes in. So whenever you need it, that's when the AI is there to assist you. You can select any of the ratings and the AI will prepare the copy for you for both the review as well as the private feedback. And again, you will only be able to send a personalized review that's written with AI when you've manually verified it. Unless unless you manually unless you skip that part, it's going to just send the review template that exists there. Also, if you don't use our automated review feature, so what we'll do is we will prepare a personalized 5-star guest review with AI. So the idea is we will only prepare it for you, but you would still need to manually verify the review and click on the send button for it to get sent. We just wanted to make sure that we covered all bases. So we wanted this feature to work with our existing review rules, but we also wanted to bring something new for everyone that isn't using that feature. So yeah, excited about how that feature is going to work for you guys. It's currently in development, but it's going to come to beta next week. And we're super excited again to introduce this feature that's hopefully going to blow your minds. The next thing that we want to talk about is AI replies to guest reviews. So as you guys know, Hospitable has never been able to show you what review your guest has left for you. Moving forward, we will do that. So in the inbox, you will see what the guest has written for you, as well as if the guest has left any private feedback for you. So that's two parts to the review. One is the public review that they'll leave for you, and the other one is private feedback. You'll see that in the inbox, but moreover, we will also write a reply on your behalf that's going to be present there in the inbox for you to manually review and submit. So the idea there is that once you see a review reply that's written with AI, you can change it if you wanted to, but you can just click on the one button, which is the reply button, and it's going to get submitted to Airbnb, and your guest will receive a notification about the same from Airbnb as well. This feature is already in beta, and most of our hosts are currently already able to see this in the inbox as part of their conversation. But we will also bring this live for all of our users by the end of this week as well. So everyone can benefit from this feature. The next thing that we want to talk about is direct. So I will just hand the presentation over to Andrew.
Okay. Thank you very much. A few quick updates from Direct. We did ship a new payments page. Guests are going to interact with this when they have an issue. So if you're trying to do an alteration with a guest and extend the stay, you need to collect more money from them. If the current payout method or payment method on file fails, we're going to send them an email and try and recover that. In the past, this was kind of a terminal state and you were stuck on an alteration. I know this was a bit of a pain. So we did launch this feature and we're already seeing success. So we're seeing people that previously had payments fail. We will attempt again in 24 hours. So we've seen that kind of process where we notify the guest, we'll try again in 24 hours. So if they had insufficient balance or something like that, they'll take care of that issue. The next attempt, then we are able to successfully capture it. We've also seen guests use the link we give them to try a different payment method, which was previously not available to them. So again, payment fails, they can put a different card into the system. We'll try again to capture that and try and get that alteration successful. That's also one of the kind of the fundamental features we need for payment terms going forward. That's what we're currently working on now. Next is to be able to do that. So if that deposit, then second, third payment during a payment installment schedule fails, we'll use that same feature then to make sure people don't fall out of the funnel and lose their booking because they couldn't keep up with the payments. So that's a nice feature, and it's great to already see it have success in the wild. SEO improvements, I've got the next slide for those, so I'll hold off on announcing too much more, but some nice updates for the Hospitable sites, search engine optimization, so more people can find your pages and help them look prettier. Text corrections, we've had several hosts Yeah, be very patient waiting for us to make some corrections. These are really complicated, as we've explained. On Direct Premium, we use a tax system, a tax software provider to help us with get the correction, the calculations correct, sorry. But it does make mistakes. So this week we fixed one in Ohio. We're still correcting it fully, basically, but this actually was an issue on our provider. So they're fixing their system and those changes are rolling out, and we'll keep working through those. They just take long. So please bear with us. I've got time in my schedule every week to keep working through these, and we'll keep getting the issues corrected as we go. And there was an issue with Google Maps that you guys helped us find, and it was really tricky to diagnose. It turned out it was just a quota issue that we weren't expecting. And so it was something that, you guys would report it. We'd try and reproduce it. We couldn't reproduce it. And if you've worked in software, that's always makes it really hard. But we did find that issue finally and fix that. So the Google Maps on your site will no longer show an error message ever again, hopefully. The SEO changes on the next slide. So we just took a review because, again, if you've been following along with the previous town halls, we're on a new site builder now, and we get a lot more capabilities with that. Everything's in our control. So we got to jump in and kind of see, how SEO was working and make some improvements. So this is just an example of what it's looking like now. So we're making sure that we get a nice property title, a nice property description in there for you. We're sending it now all kind of optimized structured data as a vacation rental listing. And actually Google uses GVR data with this as well. So we're getting all the benefits of the GVR integration plus the structured data. We're sending them now. And these are looking really well. In this example, it's listed above Airbnb, which is always nice. And we're getting the property photo in there because of the structured data. And then otherwise sitemaps. So if you're using a Hospitable site and I believe a Hospitable domain, we're able to immediately, when you create a new site with us, send that sitemap.xml to Google, so you immediately get ingested into their search results. We're also doing it for let me actually check my notes here. What is for non-custom domains? If you're using a custom domain, okay, we will generate the sitemap, but we can't automatically send it to Google, so you have to wait for it to get crawled. But we're also taking care of custom domains. Sorry. And otherwise, what the team is working on, next slide, guest portal, super exciting update. It's going to start pretty simple. It's going to be basically an online itinerary. One of the key pain points we're trying to solve right now is guests do not have a way to cancel a direct booking. They have to contact you as the host and ask you to cancel on their behalf. That obviously creates some problems. We've had a number of chargebacks for this because the guests couldn't figure out how to cancel. So we're going to give them now, in all the communication from Hospitable, they're going to have a Manage My Stay link, and that's going to take them to their online itinerary, and they can do a cancellation initially. We're going to enable them to request an alteration and do all kinds of other things. I mean, it's going to evolve into a proper guest portal. It's going to evolve into potentially even something that looks like a guidebook in the future. It's a really nice kind of digital property to build out, starting with cancellations, starting with property address. Again, this is kind of something that we learned along the way is we're not providing the property address to the guest anywhere. You're kind of dependent on doing that in your scheduled messaging. And so if you forget to do that, you can have a guest that doesn't actually get the address. So we're going to fix that again with this guest portal. And anyone who doesn't have any scheduled messaging set up for direct, if you start using direct without, kind of expanding the scope of your messaging rules, you might not be sending any messages on your own, and that doesn't allow the guest to contact you. And so we'll give them a way to contact that. So really, anyone that's kind of missed any of those pitfalls, we're going to correct those with the guest portal and then just keep going on from there, because it's a really nice branding exercise for you guys as hosts, and you'll be able to expose a lot of nice content there. Everything we're going to do with, making guest vetting a more embedded experience, making e-signatures for rental agreements part of the guest portal, all of your house rules, cancellation policies, terms of service, making sure that that's all documented well. That's all going to be on the guest portal. Tax filing and remittance. Not a lot of updates to share, unfortunately, but we are making a lot of progress. It's a big one, and we're going to keep at it. So yeah, good news to come. at some point in the future. And then payment terms, we're getting much closer. So this should be coming quite soon. You're going to be able to set up 1, 2, or 3 payments, and it's going to be dependent on the lead time of the booking. But anyone who's doing a lot of large booking value and or large lead time bookings, we had a new record this week. We had a $89,000 booking that was paid in a single credit card swipe. So yeah, that one, it does remind you that we need payment terms. That was about a 9-month lead time on that as well. That's kind of painful when we see that. We would like to offer that guest and others the ability to take a deposit first and then go on your schedule. So those will be opt-in. You'll be able to turn on payment terms. Those should help you improve conversions on bookings that are similar to that. And that's all from Direct.
Alrighty. Hey, everybody. Okay, I'll start off with a couple of things that are maybe less fun to talk about, but important to acknowledge. So starting last night, the third party that we use to send host notification emails, it started having an incident. So as of last night, we weren't able to send transactional emails to host. That looked like you not getting your magic link to log in. That looked like you maybe not receiving reservation sync failure emails. I think the impact that you probably felt is if you're trying to log in and needed the magic link, you didn't get that. It seems like a login issue, but really it is this email issue. We've implemented a workaround, so those emails are going out now, and we manually sent what we felt were like the most critical emails for you to receive that had been backed up. So if reservation sync failed for any reason and we weren't able to successfully block dates on a platform after you got a reservation, we kind of manually resent that email to you so that you can be aware of that and start looking into that and make sure that you are all set. It's worth noting that this didn't impact any guest messaging or anything like that. So your guests should have received messages as is. Also didn't impact any teammate notifications. So your teammates should have continued to receive their email and text notifications. This was more like transactional emails that go to you as our user and our customer. So yeah, hopefully that's going to be resolved moving forward. Next, we made a bunch of kind of like under the hood, behind the scenes improvements to what our support team is able to do. It's not really worth going into the details, but our goal here is to help our support team help you faster. As you all know, we're operating with a pretty small team and we want to get more efficient. And there were some small things that we were able to do to cause them to find things a lot quicker, less clicks, easier to understand. And so some of those improvements were made to help our support team support you better and faster. Next, let's talk about the reservation sidebar updates that were made. In our last town hall, we had just announced releasing this to beta, and as of an hour or two ago, we released it to all users after we received mostly really great feedback. Thank you guys for sharing feedback with us. It was really, really helpful, and we did make several improvements in the last couple of weeks after hearing your thoughts about that. And we've got a nice list of future improvements that we can make as well. So yeah, let's see, I'll dive into some of the nitty gritty here so you can see the overview of what this does. If you weren't a part of the beta group, you haven't seen this yet, but you should in your account now. If you don't yet, Command-Shift-R or Control-Shift-R to do a hard refresh, and this should pop up for you. Okay, so the first slide we'll talk about is some changes to the reservation details. This is actually on the left sidebar that's been there all along. Basically, we just made some small improvements here to kind of bring frequently accessed information more front and center. So if you remember, the reservation code, for example, used to be hidden behind a modal. The link to the listing it was booked on used to be hidden behind a modal. And we were seeing users click that to basically dig for information that they felt should have been, high level or front and center, if you will. So we've made those changes to make this easier to access, and all throughout the reservation sidebars, things that you might need to copy, really slick. You just hover over it and click to copy. It copies the whole thing to make it a little bit faster for you to do the work you need to do. Another important change to mention here is that number that used to be the subtotal is now displaying the gross revenue, which we can talk a little bit more about in a second. It's basically the sum of what you're going to make on that reservation. Next is, this is in the new sidebar that's on the right when you're in a conversation with a guest. This is our new guest insights section. It's at the very top. What this basically does is allow you to get to know your guest a little bit before their stay actually begins. We have some insights, which you've seen before. They're now up in the upper right, and an AI summary of the guest. This is really cool. We've seen it be creepy, accurate, and really great. at basically seeing how guests have reviewed places that they've stayed before and summarizing the things that they've mentioned that they really loved, or maybe things that they mentioned that they really hated, and surfacing that to you so that you can be a better host when they're staying at your place. One thing that was really cool, earlier in the week, a customer of ours pointed out that the AI summary, which is something that we generate before the guest even stays, and the review that the guest actually left were like almost word for word the same. So the AI was able to really be accurate with what they thought that guest would enjoy. And the guests actually wrote that in their review, that they really loved the quiet backyard and a place for their dog to run around and stuff like that. So we're really empowering hosts to be able to serve their guests better while they're actually there. And then also easy way for you to toggle to see all the reviews that have been left about that guest for their past stays. So you can just click through and read them all that way. Next is the property details section. Really, the goal here is to make information that you might have had to leave Hospitable for easier to access. So if you hire virtual assistants or teammates to handle conversations for you and they don't have all your property addresses memorized, this is the easy way to bring that type of stuff front and center. Wi-Fi name, Wi-Fi password, all that good stuff. Next, digging deep into the financials. We won't dig too deep because that would take a long time. The goal here is to show you the financials from the perspective of a reservation. So as you know, we launched metrics several weeks ago, maybe months ago at this point. I don't know what time is. And that gives a good high-level overarching view of your financials like as a whole, right? But because of how that's displayed horizontally, sometimes it's hard to just grasp like, well, what does this mean for this specific reservation? So in the right-hand sidebar, we've brought the reservation financials here, and we're just displaying it in a much more clear and easy to read kind of at first glance way, and dividing up all the different categories of information. So you can see the accommodation, you can see like what they paid per night, you can see all the fees that they paid that are then going to be passed through to you, like cleaning fee, pet fee, all that stuff, service fees. And also you can see this from both your perspective as a host, so everything you're going to receive, and you can see this from the guest perspective. So what did the guest pay? And this is really helpful because like you don't receive all that stuff. Sometimes the platform remits the taxes, or sometimes it's a fee paid to the platform that you don't necessarily like know about or care about because you don't receive it. But the guest might ask you about it, right? They might ask you, I don't know, how much did I pay in my service fee? And you can go here and easily see what it is that they paid. One thing I forgot to include a slide for, but for direct bookings, we also have a section that displays the cancellation policy. So if you receive a direct booking, you have your own cancellation policies that you've configured. And we have a section for that as well, so that you can see like, you know, if this reservation is canceled by this date, you owe this much in return, so that you can understand if something is canceled, you know, what you're kind of on the hook for refunding in that specific case. Another thing worth mentioning is this, you know, because this kind of brings it all front and center, it's brought to light some maybe inconsistencies across platforms. And so we've made a huge effort in the past several weeks to align financials across platform, which means, you know, a booking or what we call an accommodation on Airbnb is the same thing as an accommodation on Vrbo, and, you know, moving forward. So we're continuing that effort, but we've made a lot of progress into getting more accurate financials for you. All right, up next, first of all, I'm sorry in advance for being a little bit vague here. That's not my intention. But a couple of weeks ago, we shared in Town Hall that we were starting to think about owner statements. Pierre ran a poll. We asked a lot about what accounting softwares you're using. So I'm here to say today that work on that has begun. And right now we're in the middle of having tons and tons of customer conversations. So we've started the backend development, having customer conversations so that you guys can contribute to ideas to help inform like a really nice design and a really nice experience. And so far we're super excited about that. So again, sorry, a little bit vague, but in future town halls, we'll be sure to share progress. And I'll bet you, or I would be willing to bet a lot of the people I have calls with today and over the next week are probably on this call. So I'll look forward to hearing more from our hosts about what it is you're looking for in owner statements, so we can gift you some time back, because we have heard that that is one of the more onerous parts of running your business. Next, apps. Okay, we have a new app on our apps page today, Suite App. SweetUp does a lot of things aimed at streamlining your operations. They've got a guidebook, they handle guest verification, they do smart locks, they automate upsells, the list goes on. Their integration with Hospitable is going to automatically pull in properties, reservations, and calendar data to help automate all of those things that I just mentioned, so that if you do use SweetUp, you don't have to be manually entering stuff in their system. It'll just pull from Hospitable and save you a lot of time. So if you use that already, make sure that that's integrated with Hospitable. And if you don't use that and you want to look into it, go to our apps page. There's a lot more information there when you click on SweetUp about what it does, and you can learn more about how to get started there. And then next, last but definitely not least, StayFi is offering our host a really great deal. If you don't know about StayFi, first of all, they've had an integration with us for as long as I can remember. And they're a really great tool that helps you collect guest information like their email address while they're connecting to your Wi-Fi at your property. So this is a great way to collect an email without kind of angering the OTA gods and without asking for it over the OTA. And you can get that email so that you can then market to those guests, maybe increase direct bookings, maybe encourage repeat visitors as well. So anyways, you still have to pay for the StayFi device, but they're offering 50% off of 4 months of their email marketing tool if you use the promo code Hospitable50. And that's on top of an existing offer that they have for all of our hosts. If you're using StayFi and integrate with Hospitable, you actually get that email marketing tool for free for your first 200 contacts. So, as direct bookings continue to rise in popularity, marketing that direct site becomes ever more important. So I'd encourage you guys to take a look at that as well. All right, that's all I got for today. Back to Miles to kick off our Q&A.
Thank you very much, Emily. Apologies, I did a poor job of keeping up with some of your slides then, Emily. I must try harder next time. So yeah, going into the Q&A section, please do go down to React at the bottom and use the raise hand in there if you'd like to come on stage and ask a question. We do already have someone waiting. I'm going to guess it's Caesar. I'm going to invite you to stage. Oh,
sorry. Just I want to follow along on something that Emily just said, because we have now the new sidebar that communicates your username and password for the Wi-Fi field, and at the same time having a new StayFi integration. And so there is a great question from Brian on the Q&A. If we're using StayFi for Wi-Fi, what do you recommend that we should place in the username and password fields for Wi-Fi? Which is, I think, a very good question. I don't know if Emily can still be around. Right now, we do not have a two-way integration with StayFi so that we can have the guest custom username and passwords. But what do you think about the idea?
Yeah. Oh, great idea. Yeah, the thing that's cool about the sidebar that we're excited about, a lot of this information existed in Hospitable already, hidden in different places. But the cool thing about putting it in a sidebar is that we've just basically found some additional real estate to be able to potentially give to vendors, right? So it's a little bit open-ended, but what that might look like is maybe working with StayFi to have them pass some information back to us. And basically StayFi or whoever, any of our vendors, could own like a section of that sidebar and do with it what they will to help save you time. So yeah, it's not a direct answer to the question, but it's kind of painting the picture of like what we can do in the future with that because of that new section.
Cool. Thank you very much. Okay, so now moving on to our audience. So first on stage, Caesar, ask you to unmute yourself and let us know what you'd like to ask. A little bit of a delay. Are you with us? I'm going to give you 5 more seconds. It doesn't look like it. I'll give you a chance to come back if you do decide to unmute. Otherwise, we are going to move on to Alex. Alex, welcome on stage.
Greetings. Thank you guys for everything you guys do. I had a question about community fees. So I noticed that it pulled, or at least when you go to the property details section under pricing, there is a field for community fee, and the value pulls from Airbnb. I use community fees instead of cleaning fees because they get baked into the daily rate on Airbnb. I was wondering if the same thing happened for Hospitable direct quotes and what the guest ultimately pays. So if I set a value in that field for a community fee for $100, will that get added to the daily rate and divided across the amount of days stayed?
Yes, it's going to show up in your nightly rate, your accommodation fee in direct. Resort fees, management fees, and the community fees all are bundled into the nightly rates and shown just as one line item in the quote. But it should come out separated again when you look at your metrics.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your question, Alex. So now moving on, we are inviting Matthew to stage. Hello, Matthew.
Hey, how's it going? Andrew, I saw you just replied to my Q&A. Thank you very much. Which for everybody else, I was asking to be able to provide custom styles on the new booking widgets. I just love the new booking widgets. I'm building a new website for my business, and they're like allowing it to do what it needs to do. And so yes, like please, give us access to the styles in those widgets. I'm happy to just paste in CSS. At all the style, even things as small as border radius, like just like you have big rounded inputs and then you don't have that mismatch of the style of the site. It just looks unprofessional. So really would be amazing if you could turn on custom styles for those. Thank you.
Yep, that's great feedback. And like I said, I believe this was already discussed internally, and it's a trivial amount of work on our side. I just shared a message in our internal Slack to confirm that with the developer. If that's the case, I'll do what I can to get it prioritized, because yeah, you're not the first person to give us that feedback. So I appreciate bringing that one up again.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Matthew. Okay, moving on now, we have Vic. Vic, you're invited on stage. Hello.
Hello, hey guys, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. So my question is actually about integrations or potential integrations with camera softwares. So I use two particular softwares depending on the properties. I use Wise for some and I use Blink for some. Is there any way to be able to integrate like camera notifications with Hospitable? And if so, is that something you guys would be able to consider down the line?
Hey, Vic. So I am not our devices expert. Our devices expert is not here today. However, or she's not on the town hall. But what I can share is that now that we've kind of mastered smart locks, our plan is to extend our device dashboard into other types of devices. The idea right now is to start with thermostats. That's kind of been like the most requested type of device, so that you can control, the temperature of your properties from Hospitable. But cameras has certainly been on that list as well. So I don't know about those specific brands without checking if that's possible, but yeah, the kind of general answer is that yeah, like we totally want to integrate with other types of devices, including cameras as well.
Awesome, sounds good. Yeah, definitely smart thermostats are another tool that I use for my business throughout my properties. So it's great to hear that you guys are considering that as well. And while I'm on the stage, I do have one more question as well. So I did throw this question in the Q&A box regarding the QuickBooks integration. So Pierre looks like it's saying that the integration is planned for the near future. I just wanted to get like a timeline on when that was actually going to be available and when that was going to be rather finalized.
That's the next question that comes immediately after. So thank you for your excitement. That's noted. That's the part that we need about right now. Technically, the integration is virtually complete. It's what we do with it. That's actually the part that requires further consideration. As we shared on previous channels, we are building that feature on top of an existing vendor that you may know already via platform. So that they already have those integration is more likely all Hospitable and VR platform are going to be interacting with one another. While the experience that we have within Hospitable, you are not going to be needing to have a VR platform account. So we're bringing owner statement with a renowned actor in the industry, very reputable firm that does that all the time. So yeah, there's going to be QuickBooks, Xero, Sage intact, which is probably more on the mid-market or enterprisey type of property management companies. The integrations, the accounting integration themselves are not going to be a problem. You also will not be required to have an accounting integration, so we can export that separately if you would like to. So it's going to be very modular, depending on the needs of every individual customers and property management company. Emily has a row of calls with customers that have upvoted that owner statement feature. You can also be part of the upvoters on feedback.hospitable.com. So if you're interested in owner statement, like really genuinely interested, because we're going to shove it down your throat if we can. So upvote that on feedback.hospitable.com. What really surprised Emily is that within a few minutes, she got 3 weeks worth of user interviews scheduled, which basically demonstrate the excitement around that feature and its expansion of our product. So we're very excited to bring it as well. In terms of timelines, it's not a matter of months. I'm really trying. Emily is probably like, because I'm known to obviously work on a Musk timeline, but faster. Yesterday was not possible, therefore today is better. I think it's more, the idea is it's to make it more in a matter of weeks. What we care about is more about the experience of bringing a feature like owner statements in a product. That's what's actually
perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's super helpful.
Wait, Emily wants to correct me immediately.
No, I'm not correcting you. What I want to say is, Pierre mentioned to upvote that feature request. That's always important because those are the people that we go to ask to get information from, right? To help us build this out. And in the case of owner statements, it's especially important because it's really important, and we're going to private pilot this before we release this to beta and general audience. So if you're an upvoter and you want to be the first to use this and give feedback before it even goes to our beta users, you need to upvote it, and that's how you're going to be a part of the group that's given the option to pilot it. So after I finish talking, I'll find the link to that feature request so you can upvote it yourself if you haven't already, and I'll post it in the chat.
Perfect. And I do have one kind of related question to that. So are the owner statements that we're going to be able to download, are those going to include breakouts of like Airbnb, VRBO, direct bookings, basically, different filters that we can use to actually further be able to like derive like where all of our bookings are coming from?
Yes, I think so. The channel where you're securing reservations. Yes.
Perfect. Okay, awesome.
Why?
Yeah.
Why do you need that?
You're asking why I need that?
Yeah. Why is it valuable to you?
Okay, so my background is, I'm an Airbnb host, obviously now, but my background is I am an actuary by trade, so I am very, very numbers oriented, and I do a lot of my own analyses behind the scene. I'm trying to figure out like where I need to be looking going forward, which softwares are working for me for which properties. It's kind of a whole complicated thing behind the scenes, but I basically need as much data as I can, and in the cleanest format as possible.
Okay. That's more feedback for a Matrix product, because that's the user interface that you should be using to basically generate those insights yourself. So I think we already would have a breakdown by channel. But to be fair, to be clear on the owner statement, for the actual owner statement piece, you're going to be able to, it's going to be a very, I think, customizable piece of work. We're going to obviously recognize the income that you've generated from reservation, be it from Airbnb, Vrbo, Booking.com, or direct. So you'll be having that fully automated. You can also recognize other source of income. So maybe a reservation that happened outside of it tends to be outside of the channels that are connected. You can also add fees. So that could be costs that are incurred on your business. For example, you're paying, I don't know, we always have the pool cleaning scenario. So every Wednesday, clean up the swimming pool. So that costs you a certain amount. You're going to invoice a certain amount to the owners. That could also work, for example, for taxes that may not be collected by an OTA for the specific reservation coming from a certain OTA. So it's going to be a very modular piece to create the owner statement. But that's the capabilities of the system that we're going to be using. It's also a matter like what exactly would you be using it for? So I probably should have been staying quiet and let Emily run the user research and discovery. What I've heard about the channel splits is typically the more reservations you have on direct as a property management company, the more valuable you are to a property owner, because they would be able to probably market on Airbnb or Vrbo on their own. But as a property management company, the fact that you're developing a direct booking website and a presence online is something that obviously is helping in the defensibility of your business. So that's why I was asking that in particular. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you
No,
for the
absolutely.
feedback. Thank you for the
Yeah,
excitement.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Vic. Okay, next on stage we have Emily. Hello, Emily.
Hello. I have a question about kind of vetting guests. Do you guys have anything on the roadmap to help better vet guests? I have a serious problem in my market with locals wanting to book the properties. I do my best, to ask them the questions, make sure that they're not local, but they just lie to you. Sometimes on Hospitable, I can see their phone number prior to accepting their booking, which is so helpful for me, because if I see it's a local number, I'll just go ahead and decline them. But from my understanding, that's only a possibility if they have previously booked with somebody that uses a Hospitable account. So I'm wondering, is there any other features that you guys will release to have, even more information about guests?
Yep, absolutely. So I think we've mentioned previously that we're working on a project to basically embed services. It's actually a generalized project to embed all kinds of different vendor services within Hospitable, so they're there where you need them. And the first vertical we're experimenting with is actually guest vetting, because one of our partners, AutoHost, who does guest vetting for direct premium reservations, they have a reseller program, which is what we're going to use to basically make this available to all of our hosts. Because if you're a small scale host with less than, I think, 25 properties is what AutoHost requires now to work directly with them, you don't have an ability to do this. And so we're going to experiment with that with AutoHost, and you're going to be able to, on kind of an ad hoc basis, when you have that kind of gut feeling, or you feel like, this feels like a local user that could be a problem, you could request an ID verification, you could request a background check, a credit check, a sex offender check. Basically, in the moment when you want to try it out, you could do that. And then once you kind of get to a configuration that you like, you could say, do this for all these reservations. And that's regardless of what OTA channel it's on. Yeah, that's a work in progress. We're looking at maybe end of Q2 shooting for that. And then, we'll start looking at other things. So insurance products, things like that, potentially other vendors. We want it to kind of be a vendor agnostic program. That's definitely something that we're working on.
Awesome. And will all of that be prior to accepting the booking?
It depends on the channel. So we have the luxury with like direct premium to make the request to book contingent on completing guest vetting. We don't always have that power on the OTAs. So it depends on how the OTA works. But you'll be able to basically send them the URL of, if it's my guest portal or directly the AutoHost portal. And you can make your messaging contingent on their filling out that information. So you can block actually like your check-in instructions in Hospitable until you get a verified ID, and they get verified through AutoHost.
Okay, good to know. Would you guys ever have the power to like override Airbnb and cancel a reservation?
I think this is something that probably other hosts are more familiar with than I am. But I think you can push back. You can use information you collect in guest vetting to avoid cancellation fees from Airbnb. If you say that this person refused to complete guest vetting or some issue came up, you can push back to Airbnb. And I know that AutoHost will tell you that they have lots of examples of this, and they'll say, okay, no cancellation fee. This was someone that came up with a hit on a background check or something like that. And you normally you're able to avoid fees for that and reputation damage.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
great. Thank you for your question, Emily. Okay, moving on. We now have Joe. Welcome on stage, Joe.
Oh, thanks a lot, guys. Actually, my question, I think, just got answered in the chat. My concern was having the ability to move a guest to another unit. We have 11 units on our property. Say that maintenance needs to be performed in a unit. I'd love the ability to have maybe to move that guest without canceling the reservation. I understand now this would only apply to direct booking, but I understand now currently the only way to do that would be to cancel that and then have them book again in the new unit.
Yep. Yeah, I don't have good news for you, Joe. If you want a little bit of the background, it's really hard because when we create a reservation, we kind of create all of the messaging and automations that go along with that. And to move to a new property, it requires quite a bit of back-end work on our side. Obviously, we want to do that at some point, but it's been hard to prioritize that work because it really is quite a complicated thing to do for what is ultimately generally a low frequency feature for hosts. But yeah. We do want to get there.
I understand. I'll give you guys a couple days to get that implemented. All right. So I'll expect it. No, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you very much, Joe. Just a call out. I know PC has mentioned this in the chat. If you do have questions for us, try to put them in the written Q&A functionality at the bottom of your screen rather than the chat. It's easier for us to keep track of what we have and haven't replied to. When we have tons of questions in chat itself, it's kind of difficult to thread our replies and make sure that the person we've replied to can see the reply. So just FYI there. Next one, sorry, PC, you want to add to that?
Yeah, and since our product team is also receiving some praise, I want to share that with Shifra, Kevin, and Jen. We basically are responding to Q&A first, and thank you for everyone in the audience who basically is pushing that there. We have the list of Q&A anyway, and so we're addressing that the best way we can. So yeah, this basically, see there. You can also, you see if we are making a pause, but that's also for education for the next panel. You can also upvote them so that we can adjust and respond to the ones that are more upvoted first. So this is basically a battle between the support team and the entire town hall audience on we can reply first and how much can you upvote a feature as a question in a limited time. So thank you, Shifra, Kevin, and John and Jen for the support on behind the scenes.
For sure. You've talked away our next hand race. I'm afraid you see that.
That's the impact that I'm having.
I do appreciate the input. So yeah, there's still time left, folks. If you want to ask your question live and on stage, you can do so. Go to the React button at the bottom of your screen and click Raise Hand. A great way to explain your issue that you're having or explain your feature request. There we go. Caden, welcome on stage.
Hey, Caden, how can we help?
Hey, thank you there. So I just saw that the Breezeway integration was completed, and I actually trialed it out on Breezeway, I want to say a week and a half ago or so, and it entirely messed up the cleaning schedule. So I'm sure that's being worked on. But I was curious. So Breezeway offers SMS messaging to guests, and I was just curious if that if guest phone number is information that's being passed from Hospitable to Breezeway. Like, can we use the Breezeway SMS features with this integration?
Hey, so on the apps page for Breezeway on the left, there's a whole list of what Breezeway is capable of with the integration. A little bit of background, like any integration listed on our apps page is built by our partners. So we have a link to like who built it and kind of what it does. So I don't know about what you're saying with it messing up the cleaning thing, but we'd love to hear about that because we can give that feedback to them if you haven't already. And if there's an issue, work with them to get it fixed. But let me see, what was the question? Phone number. Yes, we are sharing guest details with Breezeway. So when you allow Hospitable to send information to Breezeway, they do get that. And so yeah, in theory, you could use that feature from Breezeway. But that's not like an integrated thing with Hospitable. And so that's sometimes where there's a little bit of like a gray area with our integrations is like there might be some overlap in feature sets or what feels like overlap, and it doesn't mean that it's like becoming a part of our guest messaging. But yeah, we're giving them the phone number. So if they're using it, you could do that.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Caden. Andrew, I feel like you want us to jump in.
Yeah, we had one question in the Q&A for you, Miles, from Tina. Did the 2-day conference, Hospitable conference, get put onto YouTube? I think it'll be easier for me to view day 2, which I missed. By the way, I loved day 1 as a newbie. It was very helpful. Thank you, Tina.
Yes, thank you very much, Tina. Yes, so actually after this call, I'm emailing out everyone that registered a link to the YouTube playlist. I was trying to do it before we jumped on, but I didn't have enough time. And then Friday in our customer newsletter, we'll also include it there for anyone that didn't actually register already. So yes, the email's on the way. You'll receive the recordings very soon. Thank you very much for the kind words, though. Thank you for calling that out, Andrew.
Yeah, thank you. And since we're talking about it, and I didn't gonna get my own segment because I have nothing to say because I work on the product team, not really with the product team. So yeah, I wanted to thank you, Miles, and Gabby, also behind the scenes on organizing that online conference. I know I'm a bit too much congratulation and gratitude being expressed in this tunnel for me, but yeah, it was the first. You made that on a budget of a sneaker, half eaten, and so that was really great. Love Codecast, I love the content and all the partners that also have been participating on it. So yeah, looking forward to having all the content available to everyone. If you have any feedback for the next one, because mine's obviously very excited about that.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it's been chaotic the first time, so I'm guessing it again.
Feedback, of course, appreciated, folks. So when we email out those recordings, we're also including a type form, so add your feedback there. I should also just quickly point out thank you to Tatiana as well. PC forgot to mention, but she did a lot of work in the background as well on that. So yeah, an unseen hero in the background there. Okay, moving on. So we have a couple of people waiting. So The Good Life, I'm inviting you on stage to ask your question. Hello.
Hello, it's me, Manuel, from The Good Life Sosua, currently living in Dominican Republic. So I have a question regarding, for example, when we create a reservation, and for example, it's already created, right? So we, by mistake, put a wrong dates. So we need to update the dates. From our end, we will obviously update the dates, but then the guest will not receive an update message or email that the date has been updated. Once we create a reservation, automatically it will send the guest that those are the dates. But once we update to our end, the guest doesn't receive that message of the updated reservation. So we need to delete the reservation and create it again so they can see the updated reservation.
Are you talking about a manual reservation that you're just
Correct,
creating in the
exactly.
Hospitable calendar?
Yes, manual reservation, correct.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure actually how the messaging rules would respond to that.
For example, once you create a reservation, they have in the same email, they have obviously the dates, it shows the dates that they're already booked. But for example, from our end, if we make a mistake or they want to add another night or something, and we do it from our end, it doesn't send an update email of the exact dates. An update or something. It will be good that Hospitable send an update. For example, your reservation has been updated for those dates, for example.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, Jen here, stepping in. Yeah, we wouldn't automatically send a message to tell a guest about alteration. But you could include information in your next message about that. We'd also make sure if you were to manually update the reservation in Hospitable, change the check-in time, check-out time, that would actually change everything related to those times. So all future messages would actually be based on those new check-in, check-out times, stuff like that.
Great. Another thing that will be, I think, good. A lot of guests are asking for invoices. Will there be a chance that Hospitable will make invoices that can be manually or automatically sent by their email, for example, by PDF or something?
Yeah, I know we're looking into it with Direct. That's going to be one more thing that I think we'll make available on that future guest portal that I mentioned. The ability for a customer to open up their itinerary and just download a receipt or an invoice of their booking. I don't have an ETA to share with you yet, and I'm not 100% sure whether that's going to make it to manual bookings or not, because it's kind of a you're on your own kind of thing with the manual booking. But we'll know more as we make more progress on that going forward.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, time for another question. Emanuela, inviting you on stage. Hello.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hello,
Hi.
how can we help you?
My question was answered in the chat.
Too fast.
Yeah,
Someone
The
was really
support being
quick on
too
the.
fast now. Come on, the support people need to slow down. That's what I keep saying. Okay, fantastic. What was your question about?
It was about the charging a deposit for direct booking.
Yeah. Okay.
Just because, you know, on the Airbnb platform, I have to send a request because I charge for a parking pass deposit. So I send the request, they pay, but it's
Okay.
all through like their resolution center. So even when I send the money back, it not only charges me a couple bucks per transaction, but the bigger part is it makes me feel like I'm doing something wrong because it says, what was the issue that you're sending money back for? And I'm like, it's not an issue. It's just that I have no way of charging a deposit just in case they take my parking pass.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, would that be something you would collect as like a damage deposit though? Because that's what I was replying to, I think, in your initial
yeah.
question. But this sounds
So,
more like just like an ad hoc charge.
yeah, it is an ad hoc charge. So that is it is different because I don't charge anything for damage or any kind of deposit outside of that. It's just trying to like collect something so they have incentive to bring the parking pass back.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we'd still have to charge you like with the ad hoc charges. We'd still like take out the payment processing fees because you'd have to collect it and then you'd have to send it back. But it wouldn't be a resolution. So in that sense, it's, you
Yeah.
can send or receive money without going through an adjudication process, a resolution center with direct. You're your own boss. So yeah, you can send them a request to pay $3 or $4, and we can handle that fine. But yeah, it's such a small amount. It's kind of
like a
tough.
workaround, like, you know, Stripe allows me for my other business, like allows me to hold like an authorization, but no money is actually exchanged. And that's what I was hoping for is for deposits for whatever, whether it's beach chair rentals or for me, the parking pass. If there was a way to have an authorization without money being exchanged.
So an ad hoc authorization. Okay.
Yeah, because I would love
interesting.
to rent out, bring more beach chairs. Right now I have 2 per unit, but if I could bring more things that they could kind of put a deposit where I don't really want to charge my guests. But if the stuff gets missing, I would love to be able to rebuy it.
Okay. No, that's good insight. I appreciate you getting on the stage. I understand it a bit better now.
Yeah,
we'll look into that. No guarantees, but it's
Sure.
an interesting use case.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And that's all the hand raises that we've had so far. I'm going to linger for a second or two. If there's any quick last minute short questions. No, I'm just getting laughing emojis. Doesn't look like we have any more questions, team. And I said that, and then Colin raised his hand. So there we go. Colin, squeezing you on for a quick question. Hello.
Yeah, hi, thank you. With respect to smart device integrations, I put it in a feature request for IFT and Zapier, but you have your webhooks, which you can leverage for all sorts of things out of the gate. Is there any way to get webhooks to kick off at the time of guest check-in, check-out, so I can automate smart device integration with IFT in the meantime?
Yeah, it is probably going to be.
So you want the webhook to go out at the time of check-in? Is that your request?
Yeah, and then I can do a filter
Yeah.
request on the webhook to say, hey, does check-in time match current time? If so, kick off temperature change,
Right.
stop the lawnmower, stop watering the lawn, all of that.
I mean, we do have webhooks that I think include the check-in time. It wouldn't be
Which it does.
it wouldn't be sent at the check-in time, but yeah. But I also, I mean, I kind of feel like you should just wait a little bit because I
Sure.
think a lot of this will get taken care of like sooner than you might be able to put it together with if this and that or Zapier. But yeah, that's good feedback though for webhooks, because I do hear of a lot of people trying to do something specific, and kind of the point of that is to give you the information so you can do it as you want. So yeah, maybe it's custom triggers or something like that. It's good feedback.
Genuinely
Fair.
good feedback
Thank you.
for Zapier. Sorry, genuinely good feedback for Zapier and IFTT apps.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your time. Thank you for the great attendance as always. And we may be asking for more questions, but there is always one coming, always 5 seconds away. So thank you so very much. We have actually a very busy list on the Q&A. There's logs and integrations, security deposit questions on Direct. Yeah, so if you have a problem with support, you should really still get Shifra, who is probably running on Q&A with Jen and Kevin. On support@hospitable.com. That's the way we're taking action on your account. And in any case, we're mostly asking you to get back to support if you have a problem. So yeah, if you have feature requests, you can also send them on product@hospitable.com. But I would really strongly recommend that you actually push your feedback over to feedback.hospitable.com, where the product team, which is amazing because you had everyone today with Anmol. You didn't have any. That's too bad. We decided at the last minute that you would not be giving a smart locks update because there were some fixes, but not something very significant. But yeah, so you get more people. Next time, promise, we're gonna have the entire Direct team. So yeah, share over that on Direct feedback.hospitable.com. Even Miles has terminated the video. That's time for me to end. Have a great time.